The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to Conor Commentary, a hilarious take on news, politics, sports, and current events. It's time to buckle up. Here's Conor.
All right, guys, we are back, and we have special guest Ray. Ray, how do you pronounce your last name? I always feel like I'm going to mess it up. I want to say Roth, but it's not, right?
It's Rauth, but Roth is fine. I would say Roth is the English way to say it.
Is that how it is?
Yeah. So Roth is fine.
Okay, because for people who don't know, you're from Toronto, right? Or just outside of Toronto?
Yeah. Toronto enough.
Toronto enough. Yeah, exactly. That's what I say. I say I'm from Boston. I'm not actually from Boston. We're like a half hour outside of the city. We're actually in New Hampshire right now, but that's what we always say. So it's pronounced Ray
Rauth.
Ray Rauth. All right, perfect. All right, and you are from Dear Pats Nation and Sportscaster, right? You were just explaining to us that right before the show, that's what you were doing.
Yeah, and Dear Pats Nation's a throwback.
Right.
We switched to DPN about a year ago, so non-Patriot fans didn't feel like I was isolating them.
Is that why you did it?
But yeah, no, I'm from Sportscaster. I host a show on there called The Ray Rauth Show from Sunday to Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and usually cover a couple NFL stories and just talk a bunch of nonsense, whatever's on my mind for that day. Every Thursday we have guests. My man Connor here has been a guest a couple of times on the show.
I have. It's always fun to come on.
It's been great. I will tell people that he didn't wear a dress shirt for my show. So,
I didn't. I should have.
Did you wear any shirt?
I wore a shirt,
okay,
right?
Just making sure.
I was appropriately clothed, I think.
I got the hoodie. So we're good.
Yep.
No. I'm not as fancy as you, so we're good. So I do that, and then I actually work directly for Sportscaster too, as a part of their Sportscaster news program. I'm an NFL content creator for them, so I basically report on all the bigger news coming out of the NFL.
Right.
They try to give me Patriot stories because that's, obviously my biggest strength, but there hasn't been a lot of Patriot stories outside of Tom Brady, so I cover basically everything.
There have been very few, except for I think it was today, there was Patrick Chung signing.
Yeah, so that's my assignment for tonight. 7 p.m. Eastern Time, if you guys want to check it out. Sportscaster News.
There you go.
I'll be reporting on the Patrick Chung.
I'll be tuning in. Can we get a quick glimpse into it first? I was going to ask you right out the gate, what do you think about that? Because a lot of people had him as the surprise cut, is where they might try and save cap, especially after they just drafted a safety in the second round. I was kind of surprised that they kept him, although I do like Patrick Chung.
Yeah, I'm a big Patrick Chung fan. This move didn't surprise me at all. As soon as it happened, I got a bunch of messages on Twitter and my DMs, what are they doing? Are they insane? And I was like,
right.
Relax. I'm like, before the news even broke, I was like, number one, this is a cap move. I guarantee you, even though we got an extra year or whatever out of this on his contract, I guarantee you this is going to save cap this year. And sure enough, Mike Reese, 20 minutes later, announced that it was going to save them $928,000.
Right.
They still haven't signed Kyle Duggar. They're their first pick in the second round.
Oh, they haven't.
The money to pay him.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah, so they had to free up some cap space.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised too, man. I'll break it here. See, you guys are getting it before. My boss can be mad at me, but I'll break it here on Conor Commentary.
I appreciate that.
I wouldn't be surprised, just by some people I've been talking to and some of the research I've been doing, if we see guys like Dante Hightower signing extensions and some of those other vets just trying to free up some cap space. I also wouldn't be surprised if Julian Edelman signed something just to try to free up some more cap space this year. Because the Patriots have $100 million in cap space next year.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. So you think they're going to try and dump some of it onto the next year and the year after that? Because I know the next couple of years they have some of the most cap space in the entire league.
Bill Belichick is the king of moving space and
he really
from
is.
year to year.
Yeah.
And the only time it ever comes back to hurt him is when we get into the Brady situation this year. This year is probably the worst. It's all kind of came back to roast this year for him.
Right.
After 20 years of doing this, now they have $20 million in dead cap.
Yeah.
Which is obviously could have been a wide receiver. It
could have been a lot of things.
Yeah, it could have been a quarterback. It could have been a bunch of stuff. But so we're going to go through 1 year, and then they're going to have a ton of money next year.
Right.
They can move some of this cap space over and then use the rest of that money for free agency next season.
So, this season, it's almost like they're going to bite the bullet and not have any money, and then right back, they're going to have the next 20 years, they're going to have a ton of money again. They're going to be able to sign almost whoever they want starting next season.
That's exactly what it is. And it'll be interesting to see who they can sign, right? Because will people, before people were it was very appealing to go play in New England. So
think that
Mr. Stidham's going to have to step up this season in order to make it appealing for free agents to want to go sign in New England. I still think Belichick has some allure. I know that there's people out there that says he doesn't.
Right.
I call them Tom Brady fanboys.
There are a lot.
So they're going to have a ton of money next year, and then but I mean, he's not going to spend it anyways. It's Bill Belichick.
That's
right?
very true.
He likes to pinch the pennies and build through the draft.
I mean, it's funny. Prior to this, they used to have excess money. They wouldn't spend all the money. Like in years prior, they'd leave money on the books.
It's for this very reason, because so they can keep pushing, extending contracts.
Yep.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it happens again this year.
Right.
More guys.
Where does that money go? Do you guys know? Does that just go back to like Robert Kraft's pocket?
No.
No, that's not how it works.
It's all about salary cap. I mean, here's the whole thing. Like, people call Belichick cheap and Robert Kraft cheap.
Yep.
It's not that they won't spend the money. If there was no salary cap, they would have given Brady $40 million and said, stay with us. We'll give you whatever you want. It all comes down to that salary cap. So when they extend it, I guess the Patriots is actually a business, right? It's an entity, a part of Kraft's, sports business. So that would go back into the Patriots bank account and kind of sit there. But it's all money that is for the cap. It's all dedicated to salary. It's not like they can take that money and spend it in other places.
Right, and it's funny because it's so different from other sports. Like you see the Red Sox and the Yankees and teams like this, they spend an absolute fortune, but the only thing they have to do is pay a luxury tax. So if they have that kind of money, it's totally different than any other sport because they can just buy anybody they want, basically.
Yeah, and that's the same as the NBA. And really, I'd rather see the NFL go that route. Over the NBA and over Major League Baseball, because in those two other sports, like in baseball especially, there's like 5 teams that can afford to do that.
Right? That's so true. Yes.
And that's why for all those years it was either the Yankees or the Red Sox in the World Series.
Yep.
A lot of times it was the Yankees versus the Red Sox in the American League Championship game.
Right.
It was always being a kid from Toronto and the Toronto Blue Jays who. Well, the team who the owners had the money to do that, but the way the operations, they didn't have it. We would spend our money on 2 or 3 big guys, and then it was gone when the Yankees and the Red Sox would sign, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys and rebuild a team overnight.
Right.
And it's the same in the NBA. Yeah, teams can do, but there's teams out there that aren't. NFL makes so much money, and it's such limited spaces that you need, you don't have to sign I would have marquee players. That's what I've always said would be the best. If you could have 3 marquee players on the team where their money doesn't go against the salary cap. We have that in Canada in the Canadian Football League.
I was actually going to ask you about that. So do you watch Canadian football? My buddy was asking me because I was saying that I was having you on and that you're actually from Canada. Is Canadian football big in Canada?
It's not big where I'm from. It's big in the West. So when you get into Saskatchewan and those places that don't have professional sports, that is their professional franchise, is the CFL. I mean, we have 9 teams, so it's not like it's
in the Canadian
and for
football
years,
league?
2 of them were called the Rough Riders. That's not even a joke. 8 teams and 2 had the same name. No, the CFL at one point was a bigger league. We had better players. We had Rocket Ishmael here in Toronto.
Yeah.
Doug Flutie won 2 Grey Cups with Toronto, won 1 with BC before he went back to the NFL.
Yep. I remember that actually. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Warren Moon was a quarterback in the CFL. Joe Theismann was an Argo and won a Grey Cup before he went to the NFL. So we used to have those guys. We get cast-offs now from the NFL. Johnny Manziel was here for a year.
Right, he did terrible, right?
Was here. Actually, on the Argos, we had Ricky Williams the year he was suspended in the NFL.
Right.
And then they put in a rule called the Ricky Williams rule that you couldn't bring in a guy who was suspended in the NFL to play for your team.
Did they really?
Yeah. So it doesn't quite have the following that it did here. In Toronto, they're stupid too. They moved it to a very inconvenient location.
Yeah.
So and it's let's face it, it's like Division II football. It's not, if you're an NFL fan, you're normally not a CFL fan. I just love football, so I do watch both, but it's a different game. Bigger ball, bigger field. We have 12 men on the field, not 11.
Oh, okay. So it's totally different.
Yeah, we only have 3 downs, not 4 downs. It's a different game. It's not the same game.
Right.
And and if you don't have a mobile quarterback, you're not going to win in the CFL. Like your pocket quarterbacks don't work here.
Really? So it's like the exact opposite because it's very hard for a mobile quarterback to win in the NFL.
The old NFL, the new NFL is
actually,
looking more like the CFL now, where you almost have to have a mobile quarterback to be successful.
Right.
But yeah, and then what they do here is they have what's called your marquee signing, and your marquee signing doesn't go against the books, and you can give them like $1.5 million, which is big money in the CFL. To pay a guy $1 million, he's a marquee guy, and that doesn't go towards your salary cap. So everybody can have their and a lot of times the money goes to the quarterback.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Sign your quarterback, and then you have the rest of your salary cap to sign the rest of the team.
Right. So yeah, that's crazy because I was thinking. So do a lot of people in your area, do they follow the NFL?
Oh yeah, we're Toronto, where I am, is an NFL city. It's don't forget we're close to Buffalo as well, so there's a lot of Buffalo Bills fans here. But we have a melting pot. Like my best friend is a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Like we just we follow the from a fan perspective. It's like the big teams, the Packers, Steelers, Patriots. Dolphins are big amongst the older generation here because of the 72 Dolphins and Dan Marino in the 80s and 90s. So you can kind of see the pockets, a big Patriots contingents now. Like there's a guy I follow on Twitter, and him and I go back and forth. And he lives in Brampton, which is about 45 minutes east or west of me. And this guy like grew up in India, and he's a Patriots fan, and his Twitter handle is the Turban Patriot fan. And you know what I mean? Like it's wicked. You just see this like diversity of football fans here.
Right. That's insane. Because, you're so close to Buffalo, so you would think most of the people would be Buffalo fans, but then at the same time, it's whatever games you can get, like the big teams, the Patriots, the Packers. I mean, the Dolphins, way back in the day, the Dolphins stink now, but so...
It is, but we're also like in Toronto, Toronto's a very bandwagon city, number one.
Yeah.
Like I'm a Toronto Raptors fan, and I enjoyed as a fan watching them win the championship last year. And then there was probably about 15% of us. I mean, we had a parade that puts Boston parades to shame, and I don't think anybody does a parade like Boston.
Really? I mean? Ben must have seen it. He's over here shaking his head because Boston goes insane for a lot of the parades.
Yeah, there was like 3 million people at our parade.
Really?
We shut down the city. But out of that 3 million people, like 100,000 were probably actual Raptor fans. Everybody else bandwagon. When the Blue Jays are doing well here, Rogers Center, 55,000 person stadium, full to the gills.
Yep.
I'll show you. I got the best story to show the bandwagon of Toronto.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So this is 2005. I just started dating my wife, so we were just boyfriend and girlfriend at the time.
Okay.
And I said to her one day, "You want to go down to a Blue Jay game?" She says, "Sure." So we go down. Blue Jays versus the Red Sox. That's a big game. You know what I mean?
Right.
Red Sox were a good team in 2005.
Yep.
Blue Jays, Roy Doc Halladay is pitching. So you got the best, one of the best pitchers in the league pitching against one of the best teams in the league.
Yep.
I think Tim Wakefield was pitching for the Sox that day. We walk up to the box office 15 minutes before first pitch. Box office. I say to the lady, "What are the best seats you have?" She says, "I got 4 rows up from home plate, $115 each." I said, "I'll take them."
Yeah.
We go down. We're sitting beside 2 guys on business from Boston. And this is a Saturday afternoon. This isn't like a night game. This is a Saturday afternoon game in July.
Yep.
Right? He can't get over that he got these seats. He's taking pictures on his crappy flip phone at the time, right? Like, no one's going to believe me that I just walked up to the box office and got these seats. 2015, the Blue Jays go to the playoffs.
Yep, I remember that. Yep.
Okay, the bandwagon already started probably in early August because that's when we got David Price and Tulo right at the trade deadline and everything started going well.
Right.
My sister and my dad go to the playoff game. They literally were so high, my dad told me he would have an easier time rappelling down the side of the building rather than having to walk down all the stairs. That's how high they are from the field. They paid $250 a ticket.
No way.
$250 a ticket. I paid $115 to sit 4 rows from home plate and watch the best pitcher in baseball pitch. They paid $250 to watch ants play on a field.
Right. That is insane. So you said 3 million people went to the Raptors parade. Do you think a lot of people just treat it as a party?
It was a party, but you got to remember too, okay, Titletown.
Yeah.
we hadn't won a championship in Toronto since 1993.
Right.
We hadn't been to a championship since 1993. You know what I mean?
Right.
And as the country of Canada, and I'm talking outside of CFL because that doesn't count, and National Lacrosse League doesn't count because they're not one of the major four.
Right. Yep.
Outside of Canada, Toronto FC, our soccer team, which is okay attendance, but not great, won a championship. It had an okay attendance, right?
Yep.
But outside of those three sports, in Canada, our last championship in this country was when the Toronto Blue Jays won in 1993.
Oh my goodness, right.
The Toronto Raptors are the only Canadian basketball team. And the Blue Jays are the only baseball team in Canada.
Are they? Yeah, you're right, because they got rid of the Expos, right?
Yeah. So when we go to like Seattle to play games, it's like a home game for the Blue Jays because all the Vancouver people just flood to Seattle to watch the Jays play.
Oh, right.
So when we put 3 million people in a parade, those aren't all Torontonians. Those aren't all like people like me. We didn't go. I was like, I'm not going downtown. Are you out of your mind?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hotels were booked to the gills. You couldn't get a hotel if your life depended on it. Because you had people from all over Canada. And that's why they took on the thing, We the North, because you're not just representing Toronto, you're actually representing the entire country.
Right.
As a Toronto Raptor. So that's what I mean. So that was big. It just happened to be in our epicenter being Toronto.
Right. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, having like the major sports teams there. I was going to ask you, man, what sport are you most excited to have come back?
Oh, man. Right now, look, I'm always going to say, deep down, I'm always going to say football. There's a reason I do football content. I'm such a football fan. I played ball my whole life, but where I am right now, I was just sitting outside. It's 23 degrees Celsius. Sun is shining.
Yep. That's nice, right? 23 Celsius?
What's that?
That's nice, right? What is that Fahrenheit? Do you know?
72.
Ben's looking it up. Yep.
Probably about 71, 72.
That's perfect. Can't get better weather.
Yeah, beautiful. And it's 23 degrees Celsius, but in the sun, it probably feels like 26, 27, which would be low 80s.
Right.
You know what I mean? All I kept thinking, I'm out there, I'm having a beer before coming on your show, and all I'm thinking is, man, the baseball game should be on the radio right now.
Right. I was thinking the same thing the other night where I'm flipping through the channels, stuck in quarantine with absolutely nothing to watch, and I'm like, the Red Sox should be playing like every single night.
Yeah, and that's the sport I'm missing the most. I mean, I watched the German Soccer League on the weekend. I was excited just to see real competition.
Right. Oh, yeah, we talked about that on Thursday, so you did watch it? I didn't watch it, to be honest with you.
I watched 3 games, buddy.
Did you?
One of the teams I cheer for was playing, so I could actually enjoy that game. But my wife was laughing at me because I was celebrating goals like it was a championship game. I was just so excited for sports to be back. But baseball, baseball's the best. I would say baseball's a game you can watch it on TV. Yeah. But I'm telling you, to me, though, there's nothing better. I prefer baseball on the radio than I do on TV. Like, I love sitting outside on my deck, drinking a beer, or doing work in the backyard, listening to a ball game.
Right.
It's just, to me, that's summer. Like, that's summer.
Right. I honestly love listening to the Red Sox on the radio, too. I listen to them all the time, just like you're saying, outside. You can just put it on and listen to it as you're doing other things. And the best thing about baseball is they're always playing. Like, they're always on. I love football more than any sport by far, but it's just Sundays and then Mondays and Thursday nights. Like, baseball, they're playing all the time. It always gives you something to pay attention to.
It is, and baseball is probably the only sport that you actually get sick of for a little bit, and then you kind of get back into it in September, right? And I always say that's a good sport when you can take a little break, but it's still on. So if you're bored one day, you can flip it on. Like football, football comes like this or finishes like this, and then it takes forever to start up again.
Oh my God, I know. I count down the months. I mean, even now we're looking at what? We're in May, and it's going to be 3 months before we get any even like preseason, if they're even going to have a preseason.
And if they do, the preseason sucks.
It does suck. The preseason does suck.
Dude, I call games for sportscasters, so I do play-by-play for the Patriots for them. Yep. And last year was my first year. So I said, do you want me to do preseason? They said, maybe you should, because just get your voice warmed up and ready to go. And I said, all right, get used to it. Well, after like a quarter and a half, I'd be like, Patriots, second and third. 3. Like some guy I never heard of has the ball.
Right.
He's running down I was so bored. I ended up started looking at all my comments, and I started talking to people. I had a full-out 20-minute conversation with an Australian guy who was chatting with me about cricket when I was supposed to be calling a Patriots preseason game.
Right. Because it's all people who you don't know and probably aren't even going to make the team.
Exactly. Like there's like maybe every year one player I'm really excited. You'll have these like diehard Patriot fans who are like, I can't wait to watch the undrafted free agent punt returner and see what he can pull off. And I'm like,
right.
Who cares?
Because even sometimes they'll make a spectacular play and they still won't make the team.
Exactly. And I'm done trying to predict what Belichick is going to do. He's the most impossible guy to read. People are like, who's he going to pick? I'm like, I don't know. Whoever he feels like.
Literally, and we saw that in the draft here. Not a lot of people thought that he was going to take Duggar. Is that how you pronounce it?
Kyle Duggar.
Yes. I mean people thought he was going to go a lot later.
You could have given me a million guesses, Connor. I never would have guessed Kyle Duggar.
me neither. He would have never even came onto my radar. He was from a D2 school, right?
Yeah, he was from a D2 school. He's like 24 years old. He's like 5 years of D2 football.
Right.
Like, never would have. And, but there's guys that are hardcore. Like, there was somebody on my. Actually, I broadcasted I was doing basic play-by-play for the draft, which was, by the way, horror. I don't suggest it for anybody.
Okay.
4 hours of trying to keep people entertained during the draft that they can't watch, so they're listening to you dictate the draft to them. It's just horror.
Sounds like ESPN.
Yeah, but at least they have video. You're literally just looking at me for 4 hours, so I have to entertain.
Yeah, right.
But like some of the guys, I'm like, oh, Kyle Duggar, and they're like, oh, Kyle Duggar, and these guys know their stuff, right?
Oh, really?
I'm like, man, get a girlfriend, get a life, you know what I mean?
Right.
Get out of the house.
What team did he even play for? I didn't even know where he came from.
Lenore Rhine.
Where was it?
Lenore Rhine.
Where's that?
Lenore Rhine.
I've never even heard of that school. Have you?
No, I didn't hear of it either.
I had never heard of it until Kyle Duggar got drafted. It's in North Carolina.
Okay.
That was the first time I'd heard of it, and then I had to go check it out and dig through, because some D2 schools you've actually heard of.
Right. There's a good amount of D2 schools that I'm familiar with.
And then there's Lenore Rhine.
Yeah.
Which no one had ever heard of before.
Yeah, I was not familiar with that at all. And now they're absolutely stacked at the secondary, so I think if they can have a good pass rush, the defense should be phenomenal.
They are, and I could see Duggar actually playing some linebacker as well.
Right.
He's playing some outside edge, really into that Shalik Calhoun sort of role.
Do you think that's why they took him? Because he's going to be versatile?
I think he's super versatile, he's stupid athletic too. Like he's super, super athletic. And for people who are dogging on this, like I always remind everybody that Antonio Brown was a Division II guy who got picked in the 6th round.
Right, you know what I mean? He was, yep.
Forget his craziness. From a talent perspective, he's a generational wide receiver.
Absolutely phenomenal talent.
So I don't think we're even going to see him playing secondary this year. I actually see him more as some sort of hybrid linebacker, almost the Kyle Van Noy position. Yep. Same with Uche. I could see him playing that same versatile Kyle Van Noy. So you'll have kind of like Hightower and Jawan Bentley on the inside playing that middle linebacker position, and then you could see Duggar and Chase Winovich and Uche playing on the outside linebacker spot.
Right. I'm excited about Chase Winovich. I think he's going to take a big step forward this year because we need him. We need him to rush the QB. We need to get pressure because the secondary is all set. It's really all the young guys that are at linebacker now that we're going to have to, hopefully not worry about.
I think Wino's going to have a big year.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Winovich fan. When they drafted him, that was a guy I was super stoked about. I couldn't believe they got him in the 3rd round.
Right.
I'm an Ohio State guy, so I saw Winovich. I was very aware of who he was.
Right.
And I didn't know that he was on the Patriots' radar, but when they picked him, I was just like, and I just knew he was a guy that Patriot fans were going to fall in love with as well. Like, he's just such that Patriot-esque kind of player.
Right. I just even saw right when they drafted him all the videos of him and like him going nuts, and they were just saying he has such a motor, like he never gives up.
Yeah, no, he's just a motor. He doesn't give up. He's a beast. And then he's got have you seen his YouTube channel at all?
I just saw it. It just came. He just started a couple 2 months ago, right?
Yeah. So I've only seen the one video, but it was how his first interactions with Belichick and all this stuff. And it's just he's hilarious. He's a funny dude,
right?
To listen to as well, right? I was watching Kyle Van Noy stuff, vibing with the Van Noys, and I just got really bored of it. It's okay, I'm watching Kyle Van Noy eat.
Does he have a channel as well? I didn't even know Van Noy has one. Vibing with the Van Noys.
He takes out Patriots, other Patriots, and ask them a couple Twitter questions. They try some food, but he's got such a vanilla personality. You're just
right. Well, that's why we sent him to Miami.
That's it. Enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. Although Miami loves to scoop up old Patriots, huh? You think it's because of Brian Flores?
Well, right now I think it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And before they would start going with Matt Patricia, a bunch of former Patriots went to the Lions.
Well, they're still there. I mean, Jamie
Right.
Collins signed with them. You got Trey Flowers there, Danny Amendola. It's, they'll take the guys they know and they're familiar with. Right,
Right, exactly. But it's basically like they get the leftovers of who Belichick decided not to sign.
Well, basically, it's like, all right, well, we spent we're done. We paid this guy nothing. You can pay a fortune for him and have fun.
That's basically been Belichick's thing. He just recycles that over and over again every 3-4 years. He gets people, he gets the best out of them, then they look to get paid, and he usually doesn't pay them, and then he goes and starts again.
Well, I mean, I've said it. Like, Jamie Collins owes him, like, a drink because he's got him 2 huge paychecks now. One big one with the Browns and one with the Lions now.
Right.
So, like, you owe Belichick a drink, Jamie.
And it's funny because he brought him in last year. I had a feeling Jamie Collins was going to have a really big year, and Belichick brings him in for pennies, and he's like, hey, if you have a great year this year, just leave the team and go get paid.
Basically, and you know what? It's funny because I kept saying ever since Jamie Collins was traded to the Browns that the Patriots needed a Jamie Collins.
Right.
And we finally replaced him with Jamie Collins.
Right.
A few years later.
Last year, yeah, and he had a great year, and we'll see how he does. But he didn't do that well with the Browns, did he? I don't remember him being great for them.
He was fine with the Browns. The Browns just sucked. It was the same with Jason McCourty.
Right.
McCourty actually was pretty good for them. They just sucked.
Right. They're just so bad. It's hard to tell if people are good because they probably didn't win a game when he was there.
Well, I think, they went, both Jason McCourty and Jamie Collins went through the 0-16 season together.
Right. I mean, it went on for like, how long did they go? It was like...
Well, they went like 1-16 the next year. They went like 0-16 and 1-16.
So it was like over like a 2-year season, 2-year span, they won like one game.
And they had a parade. That's how pathetic they are as an organization. They had a parade for going 0-16.
I didn't know that.
Just to put it in context for you, they went 635 days without a win.
Oh my God.
635 days.
Wow. We go nuts here in New England if they lose 1 week.
I go, and the Patriots did win the Super Bowl, and people are, we're talking them off the bridge.
Right. Last year we had to talk people off the bridge after they had won the Super Bowl and gone to 3 out of the last 4 Super Bowls, right?
Oh, you know what? As a fan base in general, we are just the most spoiled fan base. And I don't put myself in that same piece, and I probably wouldn't put you either, but there are so many spoiled Patriot fans.
Just very ungrateful.
The amount of hate I'm seeing towards Bill Belichick this offseason is just disgusting me.
Right. And people are just blaming Belichick for everything. I feel like he always gets thrown under the bus. He never gives anyone talent. And when you think about it, the past few years, he's tried to get Brady talent. I mean, he brought in Antonio Brown. That just didn't work out. He brought in Josh Gordon. That didn't work out. He went out there and he just swung and missed by no fault of his own.
No. And I mean, and at the end of the day, look, if they win the 6 Super Bowls they won, everybody praises Brady. The 3 they lost, they blame Belichick.
Right.
And that's what you get as a head coach. We still got the best head coach in the game.
Yep.
Look, you and I did the predictions the other day. What we said at the very best, 10 wins, probably an 8-18.
Right.
You know what? After 20 years, what we just had, I can live with that for a season.
For one season, the funniest thing is the only reason why I'm that optimistic is because of Bill Belichick. If Bill Belichick wasn't the coach, I'd say they're going to go 6-10.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%.
Because I think they're going to be able to squeak out like close game wins where Belichick is the difference, where he outsmarts the other coach. It happens all the time when it comes to the play clock, too. Like, you've seen Andy Reid botch it a bunch of times. Belichick's on top of everything. Like, every little minuscule detail, he's on.
Yeah, clock management is not Mr. Reid's forte.
Right. Although I'm happy for Andy Reid. He's been in the league forever. I'm happy he finally won a Super Bowl. But then everyone will say, "Oh, it was all Patrick Mahomes," which he played a big part in it. But
I turn things around now, and I tell Chiefs fans that Patrick Mahomes is a system quarterback. And imagine if Brady had those weapons and Andy Reid is a coach, how many Super Bowls he'd win? Because that's what we hear all the time,
oh
right?
My God, I know.
If Aaron Rodgers had the weapons and Belichick as a coach, all right,
right.
Look at Mahomes.
It's all the different things, and it takes an entire core to win a Super Bowl. It takes the coach, it takes the quarterback, it takes the entire team. I mean, everything down to the kicker. We needed Adam Vinatieri to win those Super Bowls as well. You know what I mean?
Adam Vinatieri's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT. He really is.
You know what? You might be able to dispute Brady. You cannot dispute Adam Vinatieri.
Right. He was the most clutch kicker of all time. Does he come back for another year, you think?
Well, they said if he's healthy enough, he wants to kick. I don't know if the Colts are going to go One of my colleagues on Sportscaster News is a Colts fan, and I asked him about it, and he kind of just gave me a look like, don't put that horror in my head. So I don't know. Who knows, man? Maybe he's there mentoring our new young kicker in New England.
Right. I mean, he struggled last year, though. That was the first year I was like, wow, Adam Vinatieri's struggling.
Well, he's like 75 years old.
He really is. He's got a full gray beard now, man. He's like almost 50, I think.
Well, let's put it this way. Adam Vinatieri came in the league, like in 95 or something like that nature?
Do you know how old he is, Ben?
I believe he's 47.
47, so he really is almost 50.
47.
He's 47 years old. He'll turn 48 in December this year. And don't forget, before he came to the Patriots in 96, I believe it was, he was playing in NFL Europe.
He was?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So when he started in the NFL, I was like 9 years old.
Right.
You know what
Seriously,
I mean? And if he was in NFL Europe, I was probably like 6 when he started his professional career.
Right.
So and now I got a 14-year-old daughter. So that just shows you how old the guy is.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, he's old enough that he probably has full-grown kids.
Well, his kids he could be a guy where his kid probably could have been in the NFL. Well, isn't his kid? I've heard people talking about Vinatieri's kid.
Really?
I think he's yeah.
Well, I think Vinatieri as well, before he became a kicker, like in college, he was like a linebacker or something. Like he was like a legit player and like at the D2 level, unless I'm making that up.
I never heard that. I don't doubt you.
No, I thought that was a thing. He played like multiple other positions, and then he was just a kicker as well. And then he ended up making it to the NFL as being the kicker.
Vinatieri's nephew.
His nephew
is also a kicker.
Okay.
And kicked at the same school as Adam Vinatieri did.
Oh.
South Dakota State.
Wow, South Dakota State. You know anything about them, Ray? I've never heard of them.
No. I've heard of South Dakota State.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how good they are. So he's got a nephew who's kicking. I'm just reading about his son here too. His son's playing football. I mean, this is just. That's like a name I'd love to have. I'd be so proud of the Vinatieri name.
Right. I kind of wanted the Patriots to get Randy Moss's son, just because it was Randy Moss's son. I don't know if it would have been a good pick or a bad pick.
Apparently they offered him a contract, but he said that he signed with Washington because Washington called first.
Right. I did read that he just took the first offer he was given.
I thought it was better for him anyways, though.
Right. Because the Patriots weren't probably going to pay him. They used 2 high draft picks to draft 2 tight ends.
Even if they were going to play him, he had to go somewhere where his father didn't play.
Right.
Like, he couldn't go to, like, where he had a lot of success, which was basically Minnesota and the Patriots. I know he played for the Ravens or the Titans, and I think he played for San Francisco. But his big things were Minnesota. Going there and trying to live up to the legacy. Your dad's numbers up in the stadium. There's pictures of him everywhere.
Right. I mean, he still holds the touchdown record in New England, 23 touchdowns in a season. No one has beat that in 13 years.
That's the NFL record.
Yeah, the NFL record. Yep, 23 touchdowns. No one has beat that since 2007.
No, absolutely. And Thad already, I reported on this the other night. People kind of bug him and think that he gets handed stuff because of who his last name is. He's trying to say, like, no, I've earned everything I've earned. So
right.
And it's funny because one thing that I've read about too is some GMs kind of under-evaluate him and are harder on that because they don't want to overvalue him because of his last name.
Right.
So the kid's actually getting lower scores. So I think going to Washington, playing with Dwayne Haskins, playing on a young team, and you got Ron Rivera who knows how to nurture a tight end. I think that's probably a really good spot for him. It's away from all his dad's accomplishments.
Absolutely.
And he can carve out his own career.
Yeah, and exactly. And the best thing about that is he's going to have the lowest media attention anywhere is Washington. That's the best spot to go right now and just make your own name because he's going to fly under the radar there.
He'll get asked a couple of questions when camp and stuff starts, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then it'll be over, they'll focus on him. If he was in New England, it'd be December.
Oh my God.
What does your father think about it?
I know. The media would not leave him alone if he would have come here or to go to somewhere like Minnesota. Absolutely.
Yeah, let's face it. I mean, I don't want to insult your lovely producer there because he's been such a nice guy to me and all, but Boston media sucks. You know what I mean? It really
Easy,
does.
Ray. Easy, Ray. I completely agree with you as someone who was a part of it for a very long time. It does suck.
Okay.
So you don't have to be easy. It's true.
No, Boston media is the big
worst.
Sports
city because Toronto media sucks just as much as Boston. It's exactly the same. There's never anything positive. It's just criticize, critical.
Yep.
Right? And that's all they're trying to do. And I'm reading all these. I went on a rant on my show the other night for 15 minutes about how I'm just sick of Tom Brady rumors. Like, I don't care anymore. Stop it.
Yeah, there was the latest one that him and Josh McDaniels hate each other now.
Well, yeah, that him and Josh hate each other. He checked out in 2019. I was reading something by Hannibal today, which I'm sure you guys know over on the big radio station there, right?
Yep.
That he's not the same guy he was, since 2017. I'm like, shut up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Was that Ryan Hannibal's report?
What's that?
Was that Ryan Hannibal's report?
Ryan Hannibal, yeah.
All right, I'll slap him for you.
You know him, Ben?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course. He's a coworker.
Yeah.
We got the in over here. I'll take care of it.
Perfect. You tell him that Ray from Toronto was upset.
Will do.
All right, I got one last question for you here. I got you saw Tom Brady was out playing the other day. He was practicing. He had Mike Evans, OJ Howard, a bunch of guys there. Did you guys see that? I think it was yesterday.
Yep.
So do you think that he's going to have an advantage? Because obviously with the COVID-19, he's allowed to practice in Florida, but here in Massachusetts, they can't. So Jarrett Stidham, I don't think technically can even practice with the receivers, but Tom Brady can. You think that they're going to have an unfair advantage?
I wouldn't call it unfair advantage. I mean, if Stidham was allowed to practice and not Brady, we'd have no problem with it. So I can't have a problem with it the other way.
That's a great point.
Look, I know that people are concerned about Jarrett Stidham, and I actually touched base on this a little bit last night. Stidham was in the system last year. It's not like he's...
Right, we forget that.
And not only is he in the system, what a lot of people don't remember is Tom Brady had load management all last season.
Right.
So Jarrett Stidham was taking... That's why they brought in the third quarterback to play on scout, because Stidham had to play with the first team during practice. And the only thing he didn't do was walkthroughs. So he knows the system. He knows the guys. Him and Jacoby Myers already have a good connection, and I'm hoping that he can build that with N'Keal Harry. I think playing with Julian Edelman is easy.
Right. I would agree with that. I mean, Edelman's just a slot receiver who always gets opened.
Yeah, so he's got a good core there. Then he's got Asiasi and Keene who can kind of work with him, and they're going to grow up together. I think Brady needed this more than Stidham. Number one, the expectations in New England are much lower than the expectations in Tampa Bay.
Right.
Number
two,
Brady's walking into Bruce Arians' system. He's not walking into his system. He's not walking into Josh He couldn't bring his offensive coordinator with him to run the exact same offense that he's run for 20 years.
Right.
And Bruce Arians doesn't throw to tight ends. Bruce Arians likes to throw the ball. I already said at some point this year we're going to watch Tom Brady's arm just dislocate from the socket and go flying up the field, because he does. It's not just going to be check down. And I always say I got no problems with check down quarterbacks. Like, people look at that as an insult.
No, I think it's smart half the time.
I'm like, bro, Peyton Manning made a career on checking down to tight ends.
Right.
And everybody kind of, and then the Patriots copied that. And those are two of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play. Just because you're moron quarterbacks want to throw it 50 yards all the time and get incompletions.
Right.
Like Tom Brady once said that when they said, how do you decide when you're going to throw the ball? And says, I throw to the open guy.
Yeah.
Like, thank you, right? I don't care if I get it, that's a 50-yard play. If it's a 2-yard pass and 12 yards a yak, it's the same as hitting it 14 yards up the field.
Right, exactly. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think we both already said between 8-8 and 10-6, right?
Yeah, I think that's a fair set. 10-6, if a lot of things go right, 8-8 is probably what it is. But look, any Patriot fans listening, if they won 12 games this year, I wouldn't be shocked.
Mm-hmm.
And if they won 3 games this year, I wouldn't be shocked.
Right.
I think this season could really go in any direction.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so before we sign off, where can they find you? 7 p.m. tonight?
9 p.m. 7 p.m. tonight for Sportscaster News. You can go to sportscaster.com/DPN Sports Talk. You can find me at 9 p.m. On Sportscaster for the Ray Rauth Show. And that's usually about every single night. Tonight for Sportscaster News, I'll be by myself. Usually I'm with my other 2 colleagues, but they've split up. There's a lot to cover tonight, so they split up our assignments. We're not all just covering one. And if I could also make one quick mention before I get kicked off of here.
Go ahead.
If you guys do come see me on Sportscaster, you can find me on YouTube as well. It's just literally youtube.com/Ray Rauth. I have GoFundMe links there. I've started a fund to support young athletes when this COVID virus is over and parents are not allowed, parents can't afford to, register their kids for sports again.
Right.
I know it sounds trivial right now, but I think it's going to be big one day. Also, please come to the YouTube page. Even if you don't watch the video and you just watch the ad, I am donating 100% of my ad revenue, backdated to April 1st till the end of August. That's all going towards paying for registration for young athletes.
That's
50%
awesome.
of it's going to Canadian athletes, 50% of it's going to United States athletes.
Nice, man. That's awesome. Send me the link. I'll come on there and donate myself.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's a long time coming, Connor. This took way too long.
I know. Seriously, this was long overdue. I was glad to have you.
I only had to invite you 3 times. No, thank you. I really appreciate coming on, man.
Absolutely, man. Everyone check out Ray tonight, tomorrow, next week. DNP.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.